So ability to visualize, and that requires also dealing with some sort of ambiguity, because not every time everything is very clear. And many times, even to me, it's not clear. So we find our way as we go around. But ability to visualize a sort of end state, or even make an effort to do that, is very important.
Hello everyone, my name is Panisha Puri. Welcome back to our channel Xaphal. And today we have with us Mr. Pramendra, who is a strategy professional with cross-industry experience, having led and executed large projects around growth, transformation in India as well as globally. Hi, welcome to our channel Xaphal. How are you?
I'm good, Panisha, and thanks for having me.
So what is the most challenging thing for you to do?
So analysis and all, structuring and all, it's fine. How we want to do what we want to do. The most challenging is really to bring out clarity in what we want, and take it to the management for a decision, because there is limited time everyone has, and with whatever time span you have, you need to make sure you make the most of that. So the most important thing is to have complete clarity when you go with the to the management for a decision, and come out with a decision. It could be yes, it could be no. That's fine. But if we are not completely prepared, then it's moves on to the next meeting and next meeting. So that's the most important challenge, I would say, is clarity in our thoughts, so that we are able to drive this.
What are the subjects do you had?
Yeah, so I must say that it's a long time back. My graduation was in material science and metallurgy. I did a BTech in materials and metallurgy from IIT Kanpur in 2001. At that time, I was not even aware of some of the topics I worked on later in my life.
Right.
Because things evolve very much. So very important was to be flexible, and not be fixated on I want to do this or I want to do that. I had a opportunity in one of the e-commerce firms, which was still very new at that time.
Okay.
And then I also had an opportunity to pursue a PhD in Netherlands at Technical University of Delft. And I chose the latter because when I went there for an interview, I really liked the whole atmosphere there and the way of working, and uh, going into a IT or a digital sort of career I could have done any time, any point in time in my life. So I chose the latter. Yeah, so I did my PhD thereafter in electrochemistry and corrosion, which was one of the topics also during my undergrad days. Yeah, so that was it. I went with the flow rather than being totally determined and I want to do this or I want to do that.
So tell me something about your first job.
So my first job was with post my PhD. I joined Toyota Motors Europe. That was in hydrogen electric vehicles. So basically fuel cell electric vehicles. That was a very new topic at that time. And there was a strong correlation between the work I did in my PhD, which was electrochemistry, and the work that involved hydrogen fuel cells, which is also the same science, electrochemistry. And since it was a cutting edge area, working with the best in the world in automotive,
Right.
And one of the top 10 brands globally, I chose to work with them. That was in Brussels at their technical center in Europe. I spent quite some time over there, then moved on to Japan for a year as well.
Oh.
And we had a pilot line.
So because of the opportunity of what? You got an opportunity?
Yes, there was an intercompany transfer program. And most importantly, the product I was working on was the pilot line for that was in Japan. So everyone working on that would have gone there for some time. But that gave me a lot of opportunity, to go into the details. When I did my PhD, I thought that research only happens in universities to the level that they happen, to the depth of that they happen. But when I went to Toyota, I found that the whole R&D as well as products and product development and product engineering, of which I was a part of, is even more detailed than probably what I would have thought being done in university, and very much focused towards a commercial angle. So while ensuring commercial side of things, the level of detailing that we did, I was quite surprised and amazed at that. And also the opportunity that you learn in terms of processes, quality, and so on is huge. Everyone has to spend a couple of months on the production line. I did that same in Toyota Motor UK, just to appreciate the whole concept of Kaizen, whole concept of Genchi Genbutsu, which is like fact finding.
Tell me something about your experience in Japan.
Yeah, so I was there for slightly over a year, and I started learning Japanese even when I was before going 3 months before going there. So even when I was in Brussels at that time, and but my Japanese was really poor because the thing is, when you are learning a new language, unless you do it day in day out, just for 1 hour of class, it doesn't help. But
Right.
once I went there, I realized that you need that, especially at the workplace, because there you need to interact with technicians as well as workers on the line. At more senior level, people speak multiple languages, but generally getting your work done, you need it. Or traveling around, while you can manage with the signages and all, but going to a bank, or checking in a hotel, sometimes you need the Japanese language. So I took lessons, and I graduated to a certain level as well. I did it for throughout the year.
Right.
But most important part I liked was, the whole concept of work is, and the workplace. Workplace is almost like a family over there.
Yeah.
You are with your people all throughout, and even on the weekends you spend time with them. People work not because they're required to work, but they really enjoy being there. There are very strong regulations now around, because they are known for working very long hours in Japan, but there are now very strong regulations around, you know, how much overtime you can do and so on. But still, people find ways to come back and still work because they just enjoy doing that.
Right.
And so the whole culture around work, the whole culture of you know encouraging people to make mistake, accept mistake, learn from that and move on, rather than be reprimanded for making a mistake. So that culture in the company promotes people actually, or encourages people to try new things, make mistake,
True.
learn and move on. Um, so those things, getting into the very much detail of the things, and so all this was quite something I learned, and I wish, or I try to do that at least with my team, or under the influence of scope that I have, the scope of influence that I have, I try to maintain the same. And another thing is, if there are any feedback, you don't have to hold it inside you till the review period comes after say
True.
6 months or whatever. Just give them instant feedback, and believe me, they will improve.
Right.
And by the time it's a evaluation time, probably they would have already improved for you to talk
Right.
even about
Right. What is your mantra of success? How you see success?
success is I think it's it varies from person to person. For me, I have much bigger barriers internally than externally, probably, of grading myself. For me, I kept introspecting whether I add value to something which I'm engaged in, and if that satisfied me, I'm satisfied myself. And this could be adding value to my team members, adding value to the company, to the management. So I have much bigger bars inside than probably what I'm even measured on externally. And if I'm satisfied with myself, I think I'm satisfied. Then I really don't care what others are saying. But then at the same time, I should not also become, you know,
A rigid
uh,
person.
yeah, rigid. But at the same time, I should not also become like, nahi nahi, maine to ye sahi kiya,
Right.
and the feedback is not good. So one has to be so very unbiased, but at the same time set much bigger goals internally than what I'm measured on. Believe me, that will be more satisfying to anyone.
Right. Great saying. Also, I would like to know, like, work from home culture you prefer or work from office? What do you prefer?
I prefer work from home. Uh, Probably, provided we can maintain sanity in terms of the working hours, because the spillover happens much more easily in the work from home
Right.
than in the work from office. That was other than that, the travel time is something you save on.
Right.
Uh, but what again it doesn't happen is in the work from home you don't tend to meet your colleagues at least or your team members, and I think some sort of feeling once in a while you need to have that in-person interaction to
Right.
have the feel of the things.
True.
That suffers in the work from home. Efficiency I'm sure goes up, but the interpersonal side suffers.
Right. What are the skill set required in your field?
Very important is, and that comes mainly with practice, is to visualize the future state. If there is a project that is being decided, one need to know in what way it's going to end, and based on that, you will define an approach note
Right.
towards reaching there. Then you will break down the approach into modules, and then you will work on a project and make it into a project. Right? So ability to visualize, and that requires also dealing with some sort of ambiguity, because not every time everything is very clear.
Right.
And many times even to me it's not clear. So we find our way as we go around. But ability to visualize a sort of end state or even make an effort to do that is very important. So because our work is more into the future when it comes to strategy, because we also don't know how technology will evolve, how various areas will evolve, and what will take precedence at what point in time. But one need to have some sense in terms of where we want to go, and then also wait for things to evolve. Because otherwise, if I don't have any fixated sort of idea on what I want to do, I will not be able to move on in that direction. So that whole thing around ability to visualize, think of the future state need not be fully correct,
Right.
but should give a direction.
So, how you manage to find your field?
I believe if I had someone, probably I could have accelerated even more. I don't have, but especially, so see, when we were in school, we come from I come from a city where there's a steel factory, a very big one, and everyone is an engineer in that town. So everyone thought that I want to do engineering, and so
Right.
we all appeared for JEE, we qualified. Then we were at the mercy of the rank we get, and then we take the branch and the college. So believe me, there was very little guidance. Only it was from the seniors who would have gone 1 year before me, and then I would have got some advice. Once you enter the corporate life, everyone has their own way. There is no self-defined way of doing
True.
things, and you have to work on your own pace. You work on what you like. Uh, as I told you, I did not even know what a fuel cells is when I graduated from my
Right.
engineering
Right.
college. But then 7, 8 years down the line, I was working on see what is happening around.
Right.
Have a feel on what will take precedence, and then it's up to you whether you like a more engineered product sort of segment, or you want like a more commodity type of segment, and then you develop capabilities around that, or you want to be on the more cutting edge, or you want to more on the more regular business, and then you have to make your own choices, and believe me, in every
Like
choice you can
after
make multiple
after
possibilities.
taking counseling from counselors, also you need to explore every field to find out your
Yes,
interest, right?
someone like me, or who is part of a digital project, it's not like I know all the languages that are required to code, you know.
Right.
But one needs to understand an overview, in what situation, sort of uh, algorithm or logic is used, or
Right.
in which situation how to go about implementing certain things,
True.
what are some of the challenges faced. That is fine in my level. If I go and try to understand the level of a coder or a programmer, then I may not be successful in what actually I want to do. So depending on what you like, have an understanding of how the technology is influencing, and in what way you are going to leverage that technology, and therefore what sort of skill sets you may want to acquire.
How you develop that leadership skills.
You need to encourage people to excel. I think that is very important rather than me. So you first is also something very important. I believe in companies. Um, I think if the team entirely will grow, then you will also grow. It's not like I grow and I pull everyone. Everyone grows and they pull me is also what it works very well. understand the behaviors of different people, because everyone has a whole their own way of communicating, their own way, and so you need to speak and deal with people in their very own way. So be very observant on others, and that's why the first few years, wherever I go, I try to observe people rather than say much. Anyway, I'm an introvert, so I don't talk much anyway. Uh, and give the people opportunities, and they will excel. Give them all the tools, and they will excel. Um,
Right.
I think being very unbiased is very important in a business setup. Even if I may be having certain biases, it's important that the decision that we take for the company, or propose for the company is uh, doesn't get overridden by the biasness I may be having. So it's important to take everyone's view, the question, and based on that question, my own views, and then put something which is good for the company. So I don't think it's difficult to break, as long as we don't go with an ego, and as long as we are willing to hear everyone out. I We will always be taking a very balanced view.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Panisha, for having me. Thanks a lot.